Hi, my name is Adam Flynn. I'm a training specialist with our IT marketing department, and in today's training video, we are going to be covering our new and exciting product, Field Insights, a product designed for both our agents and policyholders, which provides field information and weather data at a field level in an intuitive, user-friendly system. We'll also be covering how to access Field Insights, the functionality, and where things are located throughout the product. With that being said, let's first start with how you can access Field Insights. There are actually four easy ways you can do so. Either use our QBE NAU smartphone app, which you can download at the Apple App Store or the Android Google Play Store. In any case, once the app is downloaded, create an account using your agency or policy information to access that app. Once inside, simply click the Field Insights icon and it will bring you to the view you're seeing right now for the applicable policy. Or you can use your web browser on your computer, mobile device, or tablet. By doing so, you first need to access your agency or policyholder portal, where you'll also find a Field Insights icon you simply can click and it will bring you to the view you see right now. Now let's take a look at some of the functionality and where things are located. Starting with our navigation bar, which runs across the top of your screen just above the map. Starting in the left-hand corner, you'll see the title of the product, Field Insights. This actually serves as a link or a home link as well. So if we were to zoom in on a field, for example, and take a look at some of that field information, do whatever we needed to do with it, but then wanted to return to a zoomed out view where you can see all the fields that are mapped on the policy, all you would need to do is simply click the Field Insights icon and it would bring you back to that zoomed out view. Moving over to the right, you'll see we have a few more links here, starting with our portal link. This will actually remove you from Field Insights and return you to your prospective portal, whether that's agent portal or policyholder portal. Moving over to the right farther, you'll see we have our Easy View Weather link, which will actually bring you over to our Easy View Weather program, which provides some additional weather and hail information on a field level for the same fields that are mapped on the policy. And then just farther to the right of that is our Logout link. Logout will simply do as you would assume and log you out of both Field Insights and your agent or policyholder portal, whichever would apply to you. And then finally, just below that, you'll see we have our policy number and the insured name. Clicking this link will pop up a small box which provides some very general policy details to include your insured, again that same policy number, some details which shows how many fields are mapped, how many acres apply to those fields total, and then which county those fields fall in. And then finally our agency for the applicable policy you're viewing. To return back to the home screen of Field Insights, simply click the white X and this pop-up box will disappear and you'll see you'll return back to Field Insights. Moving from our navigation bar, let's take a look at some of our field cards that run along the left side of our screen. Each field card is associated to a different field on the map itself or on the policy. Each field card will provide its own set of information, again based on the field that it is assigned to. Starting with our FTF information, which unfortunately you can see is blurred out at this time, but that would provide actual data for you based on that field. A crop, and you can see here that this one is listing as corn, while the other three are actually listed as no crops. So what that means is, in this case, this field has a crop of corn planted on that field already. And that's actually done through EasyWriter Pro, or you can manually do it by selecting the Edit Field icon, and we'll get to that here shortly. Some more additional information that's provided here on the field card. You can see here we have the last 24, and that's representing the last 24 hours and how much precipitation this particular field has received. So in this case, it looks like we've got about 0.8485 inches of rain that's fell on this field. Just below that, we have our acres, which should not be confused with actual planted acres, but the actual amount of acres that apply to this field. So you may have planted only 10 acres in this field, but this would still list the full amount of acres for this field. Just below that, we have our field number. And then again, just below that, we have some legal information. Moving down a little farther here, you can see we have our share percent for that field. And then if there were a farm name or a field name saved in EasyWriter Pro, you would see that listed out here as well. Moving over just a slight to the right here, you'll see we also have some information that looks like it's based on your accessibility to the field. Now currently you can see that all 4 field cards are reading poor, so the system knows that either it's too wet or whatever the case may be, they're just simply, it's labeled as a poor accessibility to your field. And later enhancements you'll be able to update this information, which then Field Insights will learn. Basically, it's a learning system, and it'll know that whoever changed the accessibility, say from poor to good, that the current weather information actually should apply to a good status, and it'll learn that and continue to use that same type of information to analyze and determine the level of accessibility for your field. Then finally, just below that, you'll see we have our edit field. Clicking this icon will pop up a new box similar to how we saw when we clicked the policy number link, but you also have a little more information here that you can change for the field. I'll just basically move from left to right here and just touch on each one here. So you can see here it's got an irrigated question where you can simply click that drop down menu, change that yes or no based on the field. The surface drainage quality, again, it'll learn from these selections so that it'll give you more proper or more correct information in the future. So we'll just leave that at average. And then if there's a drainage tile that applies to this field. You also have the ability to manually enter different acreage lines. So currently I have a corn line for 15 acres that was planted on March 29th with a relative maturity of 70. If you wanted to add another line, you could simply select the Add Acreage button, and you can see a new acreage line appear there for me. If you do not want, or you accidentally added an acreage line in error, you could simply select the red X, and you can see that line disappears for me. Once all the information that is correct for your field is applied, you can go ahead and select Save or Cancel to return to the original screen. You can see that when I do select Cancel, it's going to give you a little message just making sure that's what you actually want to do. Simply select yes if so, or no if you want to return to the previous edit field box. And that's how our field cards work, and then you can see that they'll apply that information for that field they're assigned to again. Well, now let's take a look at some of our layers and field options as far as what's going on the map itself. Starting with the icons here just on the left-hand side of your actual map, you can see we have a home icon. This actually works the same exact way as if you were to click the Field Insight. So these two different functionalities are the same, simply just located in a couple different locations for you. Field Insights, clicking this icon will bring you to that home zoomed out view. So will this icon here, this button here. We also have a zoom in, and you can see a little pop-up message telling you that's what this is, and a zoom out. Clicking either one of these will do just as you'd assume and zoom in and out of your map for you. And then finally we have the opacity of the map itself, how vibrant the colors are. You've got a slide bar, and all you need to do is click and hold, and you can slide this slide bar up and down, and you can see as I move it down, the opacity of the field itself dims out into a white background if I bring it all the way to the bottom. Again, simply click and hold, and you can bring that back up to where you prefer, or just leave it at the full color there. As a default, it'll always remain at the top there for you when you access Field Insights. And then finally, our layers. Now this is where some of the cool stuff starts to happen here. So when you click this drop-down menu, you'll see you get a whole set of options you can select from. And each one of these different layers or options is going to provide you with a different set of data. Again, always at a field level, as you can see here. So for example, if we select the last 2 hours on the radar, we're probably going to get nothing here. But you do see that we have the ability to play or rewind the radar for the last 2 hours. And when you do so, you can see it's going to tell you it's preparing a playback, and you can see the timer there. It's going to start showing you a timer of the radar for every 15 minutes. Now this is obviously not generating any maps, and so we can very confidently say that there's nothing that's happened in these fields in the last 2 hours. But let's say we go ahead and select the last 24 hours. We select the last 24 hours and we select play, again preparing a playback for us, and we should be able to see, there you go, some of the radar move through the map. Now, in addition to just the actual radar moving through, you can see there's some colors there. We've provided a legend that falls on the bottom of the map there so that you can more accurately determine what's actually going on as far as radar on your fields. So if you wanted to pause it here, let's wait till we get another system run through. So we pause it there, we got all green. We could run down to our legend and see that this is basically got some precipitation falling between very light and light. And so that legend will coordinate with the colors of the radar itself. And again, you can just simply select play again to see that radar move through once again. With the last 24 hours, this will actually run in 1 hour increments, whereas the last 2 hours, it was running it in the last 15-minute increments. Just below our two radars for the last 2 hours and last 24 hours, we also have a forecast, basically an estimated radar of what's going to happen in the future for the next 24 hours. Again, the same features available for you there, where you could simply select play, and it's going to give you 1 hour increments of an estimated future radar for your fields. That same legend is also applicable to your forecast for the next 24 hours as well. Moving down the list here, you'll see we got some precipitation accumulation information. Again, follows the same format as the radar, where we have either a last hour, the last 24 hours, or an estimated next 24 hours. So if we selected that next 24 hours, you can see that they're predicting that there's an estimated amount of precipitation that will fall on these fields. Again, using your legend, you can see that falls somewhere in between light and moderate there. Continuing down, you can also take a look at your precipitation probability. So this is a little bit slighter different grid there, where it's simply going to tell you that it's very likely in this case that we're going to have some rain fall in these fields. Again, those legends will tell you based on the color you see what that probability will be for the rain or precipitation. We also have our current air temperature, again with a legend there for you. So we got green falling, I'm assuming somewhere in between 30 and 35 degrees. And so that's just a real cool feature as well to take a look at what's going on in the fields as far as current air temperature. We got a minimum air temp in the last 24 hours and a max air temperature in the last 24 hours. So we take a look at that. You can see that we broke 40 degrees here in the last 24 hours. Somewhere between 40 and 45, or we could see the other end of that, and the minimum again falling somewhere in between 30 and 35. Our current wind speed, so that's obviously going to be current right now as we speak, and so it's not a whole lot of wind going out there, somewhere between maybe 5-10 miles an hour. Again, providing that on a field level. Our current wind gust was a little bit different from our wind speed, obviously, and you can see that got a little darker blue there, so somewhere probably between 10-15 miles an hour we had some wind gust out there. And then finally our max wind speed for the next 24 hours. You can see there that the probability of a max wind speed estimation is going to fall somewhere between 12 to 18 miles an hour based on that yellow map with the grid to follow there. And so those are some of the really cool layers you can utilize on your map itself for the fields you're viewing. If you want to remove the layers, simply select that drop-down menu just as I did and select the select layer option, which is that top option. You'll notice now that I have selected the select layer from the prior screen that option is no longer available, and you need to select one of the actual layers themselves. So let's just do the radar again one more time. You can see that option then returns for you. In addition to the map-based information, we also have some select component options as well, which is the second tab just to the right of your policy map tab. So we'll go ahead and first start with our current conditions, which is a very general weather information, again based on the field. Pretty simple, something we're probably used to seeing if we ever checked a weather app online or anything like that. But again, this is going to be based on our field level. I do want to point out though, you'll notice the accessibility is available here again. It is currently listed as poor. And again, this will be an enhancement that comes down the line. But if we wanted to change this accessibility for this particular field, we would simply select this poor icon. And you can see we have a couple more options of either good or marginal. Once this enhancement goes live, once we select good, it would update the field card to represent the same set of data. And you can see that you can change between cards, field cards, and it'll provide different information based on those fields. If we move down to the second option there, our leaf canopy wetness. Now this is going to provide you information based on basically how wet your leaf canopy is. You got a couple of options here as far as changing what data is actually represented for you, starting with whether you want this to run in daily increments or hourly. Now I'm assuming that if I select hourly, our bar here, our little slide bar, is going to completely turn to a dark blue for wet. Let's just go and take a look and see what happens. Yep, just as I'd assume. So basically for the next 6, 7, 8 hours, it's going to be pretty wet out there as far as leaf canopy goes. But if you were to select daily, you can see it starts to dry up a little bit here in the upcoming week. Let that refresh. There you go. Also, just below this slide bar here, we have a Show Details button, which basically expands our information. Again, always based on the field we're currently viewing. So in this case, it's been the top field this entire time. And you can see if I slide down, it just provides some very general weather information based on that field to include some of the conditions, so windy, cloudy, rainy, things like that. Wind speeds, air temperatures, precipitation chances, so you can see that kind of bounces up and down for you. When it does rain, how much we're assuming it might fall for you guys on that field. The accumulation, and then again that field accessibility. And so you can also always reference anything that's color coded with the legend up top here. So you can see that the accessibility probably isn't going to be real great. It does dry up here for a little bit here, but then again you can see it jumps back to poor. So that's our leaf canopy wetness. I do want to show you, if I select a different field card while viewing this tab, I'm going to get an error message. And what this is basically saying is there's no crop, there's no planted acres on this field currently, so we have no ability to basically give you the information, and it wants you to click here to edit your field, which if you recognize from the prior screen earlier in the video, this is the edit field option we had. I'm going to cancel real quick right here. So you can see that matches that. So we could edit that field, and we'll just do that real quickly here. Let's say this is irrigated. Let's just call it average drainage quality, and we'll say no tile. Let's add an acreage, and we'll just put some more corn out there. I'll just put 5 acres for training purposes. Again, we'll just use that same plant date from the other field card, and we'll just do the same level of maturity. I'll go ahead and select save, and you can see then it's going to update that leaf canopy wetness for this particular field card. So again, for some of these options, you will need to have that crop in the field already for the weather information to generate for you. Moving down our upcoming spray windows. Pretty cool feature here, starting with again some options you have as far as changing what data is shown. So right now we're currently looking at a wind threshold of only 5 miles an hour with a rain-free threshold of only 1 hour. So if you wanted to change that, say, to 10 hours and 4 hours, you can see that some of that data slightly changed, not a whole lot to be honest, but you do have that ability to change the thresholds for both your wind and rain. And then again, there's that legend that coordinates with the slide bar there. So you can see the spray window and the inversion risk both run at basically at 3-hour intervals. But what's really nice is if you slide that your mouse across the slide bar, you'll notice that the time just below here will change. So you can see that right here is 8 p.m. By a little over left, there's 7 p.m. So that you can still see it at an hourly rate. It's just listed on the actual slide bar here in 3-hour increments. So you do have that function as well for you, and it obviously lists the current date that we're looking at our data. And then again, just like our leaf canopy wetness, we have an ability to show some additional details. Very similar as far as what's actually provided for information. Again, some of the wind speeds, air temperatures, some rain information, and then again that field accessibility. So the show details and high details will basically give you some of that general information for the field as far as weather goes. Moving down, we have our planting conditions. And you can see we got our field accessibility grid already starting to show up there for us. Let the screen load here. There we go. You can see again we do have the ability to change this from days to hourly. If I select hourly, it's going to probably give me a pretty flat line set of information, so I'm just going to keep it on daily for now. But you should recognize again this is some of that general weather information, always based on the field, to include the wind speed, precipitation chance, amount of the rain, accumulation. So it just gives you some of the planting conditions for your field, basically letting you know that, hey, it's going to be pretty wet out there. You probably don't want to get out there and do this right now, put your crops out in the field. So that's a cool feature as well. Again, if you were to select the different crops, you'll see that it's going to provide that different information for you based on that field. In this case, it won't change a whole lot just because our fields are all real close to each other and it's early in the year, so we won't get much of a variance in information as of right now. All right, let's move down to our soil moisture and topsoil temperature. This is one of my favorite tools you can use for viewing here. You can see first, let's just start from the top. We have our soil moisture depth. So right now we're currently looking at only 0 to 10 centimeters in depth, but you can also select that to run all the way down to 200 centimeters. And you can see some of that data did slightly change. Just to the right of that, we also have the ability to change this from a 14-day window to a 100-day window. You can see that definitely changes some of that information for you. And then what's really cool is you can run your mouse along this slide bar and you can see the temperature and moisture percentile slightly change as you move throughout the different days. So you can see here we got some high percent of rain here, but then in the next couple of days, obviously we're back in the past year, January 3rd, but you can see how that changes for you. The temperatures rise obviously throughout the year. So that's a really cool feature that you can use to take a look at what's going on as far as your soil, moisture, and temperature. So that's a really cool, sweet feature. And you can click that, click anywhere on the map, and then it'll hold that for you. So you can, or not map, but the slide bar, so you can see that information. And you can see that changes there based on the depth when it's now 100 days. Again, this is always based on a field, so some of that data will change slightly based on the field itself. Probably not, again, not a whole lot of variance just because of the time of the year right now and how close our fields are in proximity to each other. All right, our forecast. Again, pretty general weather information based on the field. We got probably getting pretty used to seeing this screen. Not a whole lot of difference here as far as data. Again, our field accessibility is always there for you. And as always, our hourly or daily increment option is there for you as well. Let's go ahead and push forward here. Our historical weather. So this is going to give you actually all kinds of different information you can choose from. Starting from the top, you'll see we have a window, a date window where you can select the weather you want to see for the start date and end date. So I'm just going to use the default options here. So from March 23rd to March 29th is what you're going to be looking at here. Again, as always, we have that time frame or the increment option of either daily or hourly. So you make your change to hourly and you notice that nothing changes here. That's because you actually need to select that go button. And the reason that we need to have that go button here versus some of the other situations we did not is because of our start date and end date when changes there. We can change those dates, so we need to actually tell the system, all right, we have what we want in there, now give me that data. I'm just going to leave it as is where it is daily, as you can see here. So if we move down to actually see what information is provided, it's actually fairly similar to the details or the forecast as far as information is provided: wind speed, air temperatures, things like that, relative humidity, some dew point, soil temperatures. It's basically got all the information we had just looked at in the prior different conditions, but on a historical level. And what's really cool about this is you can see we're currently looking at a chart, but we can also select a table, which provides a little bit different information for you, kind of based on how you prefer to view that data. Or you can bring this over to an Excel spreadsheet. So if I click this icon here, it would actually immediately save on my computer here on an Excel spreadsheet for me to view at a later time. So that's your historical weather, again, which is based on the start date and end date that you choose. And then whether you want to see it a daily base or an hourly increment. And then finally, our growth model. So this is based on this current field. Again, something to always keep in mind. And what this is going to show you is a growth model, an estimated growth model on the crop for this field based on estimations throughout the year. You can see here on the top of this grid, which we'll get to here shortly, we do have the ability to adjust the viewing layers by either selecting or deselecting different things here. I'm just going to leave all three on for now. Thank you. All right, so if we move down here, the adjusted viewing layers we want to use, and you can see that my mouse is already working with the table here, the slide bar. And as I click different points on the line, it's actually going to bring up the growth stage that the Field Insights estimates your crop will be at. So you can see I selected on June 16th, 2017, and then the growth stage and a small definition of what that is all entailed. You can also view the growth stage by clicking that link. I'm going to go back up here to show what happened there. So when I clicked this link, I was actually brought immediately down to the bottom of the screen where there are definitions for each growth stage and a projected date for which the system believes the crop will hit those growth stages. So you can see here on April 29th, they're assuming that we'll have the emergence for the growth stage. On May 8th, for example, we're going to have one leaf with visible color. Yeah, and obviously I'm not going to have to read each one of these here for you, but you can see here that it'll define each growth stage and when the estimated time that crop will hit that growth stage. So in this case here, my growth stage was on June 16th. If I select that link, it's going to bring me down to the growth stage V9, which 9 leaves with visible colors, and some additional information there as well. And so you can scroll all the way down to each one of the growth stages and see that projected date there for you. Again, if you select a different field, it'll generate its own new set of data for that field and crop. So some pretty cool things there as far as what Field Insights can do for you. That concludes everything that's entailed with our Field Insights. As always, I do want to make sure I say thank you to everyone for attending the course here. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact your local marketing rep, or if you have any technical issues, go ahead and give us a call out with our call center so we can make sure we get everything fixed for you. If you have any other questions as far as functionality or training purposes, please again contact your marketing rep, or you can contact us at itmarketing@naucountry.com. Thank you again for taking some time out of your day to watch the video, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.